Pathmonk is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences, like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmonk to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmonk.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Joshua Zabel from Minitab. How are you doing today, Joshua?
I'm doing great. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you so much for asking. And well, I'm sure our listeners are tuning in, wondering what Minitab is all about. So let's kick it off with that. Joshua, in your own words, can you tell us a little bit more?
Sure. Minitab's market leader, one of the market leaders in data analytics, specifically statistical software. We also have a suite of products and solutions that really help customers solve everyday business challenges. Minitab's been around for 50 years plus. We started actually, there were a number of professors who were teaching statistics and understood the value of statistics and analytics and recognized that students memorizing formulas probably wasn't the best way to learn. And so they created a software package to enable students to apply statistics to real life problems. Those students took it to industry. Since then, we've grown into a solution portfolio of really problem solving solutions. Harnessing the power of your data to solve problems. Statistics is used more often than people realize. I always tell the story, you might have one day in your life purchased a certain type of candy that might have different colors or flavors in it. And you ever wonder how every bag of those candies has the exact same amount and has different flavors. You don't get all browns or all greens. It's not because a company checks every piece of candy in the bags. It's really because they use statistical software to infer and understand the risks in their manufacturing. So that's something a lot of people can relate to. But as we go throughout, the conversation, I'll highlight other examples and ways people can understand how we apply our analytics to everyday business problems.
All right, that's awesome to hear from you, Joshua, and as well from Minitab. And so that way our listeners could get a good understanding of Minitab. And what would you say is that key problem that you guys like to solve?
Yeah, I think, people understand statistics. Many of us took it in college or grad school, whether we took it by choice or as part of a core curriculum. And we have a sort of core understanding. The typical example I give is when you look at an election, and without getting into politics here, you have candidate A and candidate B, and you'll look on the news or the internet, and they'll say candidate A has 50% of the vote, candidate B has 45% of the vote, and they typically say they can't project the winner because there's a confidence interval of 10 points. And so obviously 10-point swing on 50 versus 45 is pretty important and pretty dramatic. In business, interestingly enough, we look at two bar charts, one has 50 and one has 45. We don't even ask about the confidence interval. We say, 50 is the right choice. That's really where Minitab plays. It really helps to enable people to make better business decisions and understand that statistics can help you understand the risks associated with that decision and frankly, how good your decision is. I think a lot of people make decisions that we think are the right one. The data appears to support it, but we don't really have the statistical analysis to conclude that fact. So Minitab plays a role. We're the market leader in quality. So specifically, as you can imagine, from a safety standpoint, people need to understand how good their products are, how reliable they are, everything from drugs to automobiles. Minitab really is global. We play around the globe. And, there was a company once that had a great ad campaign talking about we don't make the things you buy, we make the things you buy better. I would say Minitab makes the things you buy safer and of higher quality. So Minitab's used in almost all the products that you purchase. And oftentimes, if you do see a product that doesn't have a high quality, chances are they're not using Minitab. And let us know, because we're happy to get them as a customer.
Yeah, all right. Awesome. Great to hear that. And so then on that note, then is there a certain vertical? Is there an ideal ICP that Minitab likes to go for?
Yeah, I think Minitab is really across all industries. So we're not really vertically driven. We started our journey really in the quality and continuous improvement arena. So quality professionals, for those of you that aren't familiar, there are people whose jobs, obviously, to ensure that whether it's a drug safe, to ensure that, that candy you get is the right size, has the right amount in it. And there's both practical reasons from a safety standpoint, from a customer satisfaction standpoint. If you got a bag of all browns, you're going to say, what's going on here? But there's also from a manufacturing efficiency standpoint. If they're giving you too many candies, they're actually spending too much money on creating the candies. If they're giving you too little, you're going to be unhappy. You're not going to buy it again. So quality plays a very important role, obviously plays to your brand. So Minitab, in terms of quality professionals or continuous improvement professionals who are people in operations or operational excellence and try to improve the business or improve the performance of the business, Minitab really provides the tools that if you have a problem or a business problem, we provide tools how to think about that problem, how to sort of structure a project around tackling that problem, and then harnessing or leveraging analytics to use data to help you understand the problem, improve it, and then monitor it afterwards to make sure that your improvement actually stuck. If you realize you've got all browns and you fix it, and all of a sudden your candies are good, but a month later you're getting all browns again, then you really haven't fixed the problem. So Minitab really plays a role in all phases of identifying the problem, mapping out the problem, solving the problem, using data to understand and follow up on that problem to make sure that the problem is in fact solved.
Great to hear that. And so then how would somebody usually find out then about Minitab? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you guys?
Minitab's had a great brand. It's a luxury as a marketer to have a brand that's associated with quality. That's a great thing to have in our back pocket. So Minitab is really well known in manufacturing circles, quality, continuous improvement, as we've been around. Over the last 5-6 years, we've really been expanding to create awareness around what Minitab does, the solutions it solves. As somebody who, I've got a different background, which we may or may not touch on, but I've worked in different arenas. I've never been an engineer. And I sort of joke around that these engineers have these secret tools that are really applicable to everyone. We just don't know about them because we didn't go to engineering school or we didn't get trained by engineers. And they're problem-solving tools and analytics that really every one of us should use. We apply them in marketing. Actually, our marketing team uses Minitab solutions as well, and really across different companies. So we really can be applied across companies. So to your question about solution, really our brand is a strong brand. So we have a lot of inbound in terms of interest from that engineering community. It's our job as marketers both to as I always tell, again, using the political analogy, we got to make sure we support that base because you want to make sure that those people are getting the content they need. And that's through our website, through different social media channels, through advertising. But then we also sort of slowly want to expand past our base, right? Across that aisle, if you will, to the other personas out there to try to create awareness in an organization. So we look really, I would say, across PPC, social, organic, paid, different, advertising channels around the globe. And then of course our website, those are key channels for us.
Definitely. And talking about your website, Joshua, so that way our listeners can go ahead and visit you guys. You can always check them out at minitab.com. What role then does the website then play for that client acquisition that you were mentioning?
Yeah. We always talk about our website as our most important asset. It's living, it's breathing, it's going to get the most traffic versus one asset. So it plays a critical role. We actually redesigned the website in 2022. We launched it really to tell a broader story what we focused on is really creating, providing solutions and also identifying key personas. So as people came to the website, they could find things that identify directly to them, as opposed to Minitab talking, here's what we do. We wanted to give an opportunity to say, here's who I am, and here's what I'm looking for. And obviously, if Minitab can meet your needs, we want to do that. And if we can't, we obviously want to figure out a way to do that. But if we're not the right fit, at least we're not wasting your time or ours. So the website is critical to telling our story. And as I said, it's living and breathing. So we're constantly updating it, constantly looking for ways to improve it, constantly looking at the data around it.
Definitely. All right, great. Awesome. And is there any tools then or tips or methods that you would recommend to our listeners as far as the website lead generation?
Yeah, I think the best advice I've ever gotten about the website, which sounds easier than it actually is you really have to put yourself in a visitor's shoes. I think we always think about telling our story. Well, here's what I want a visitor to do, but that's not necessarily what a visitor wants to do. And so those are kind of the things that we really think about in terms of when a visitor comes, what are they looking for? Not what we would just want to put in front of them. And then, of course, there are things we want to put in front of them. So trying to marry what they're looking for to what we want to put in front of them as quickly as possible. And it's a fine balance, because you want to be careful about, you want to have a nice site, you want to have it well designed, pleasing to the eye, and sort of a good user experience. But you also don't want to miss the opportunity to put a call to action in front of them, or get the things you want in front of them. So it's really a balance of, I always go back to, when they get to this page or when they get here, what do you want them to do? And the question is, how do you get them there? And again, putting your in their shoes of, how would I come to find this if I were them? So that's really the way we think about it, and how we kind of try to execute.
Awesome. All right. Great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And well, next, let's talk about you, Joshua, a little bit about how you feel your day-to-day work. You being the CMO there for Minitab. What are some key tasks you'd like to focus on day-to-day?
Well, every day is different, as I'm sure you hear from every CMO out there, which is true. I tend to sort of go through the course of the week. I've got a meeting with the content team. I think content is so critical to marketing these days. So I really want to understand what content we're putting out there and why. Obviously, we have an executive team, so I understand what's going on from a perspective of the business. That's important. And then I try to meet with the regional managers to sort of see what's going on in the region, sort of top down. If there are specific issues that I need to take into, I will. But day to day, I'm checking sales. I'm looking at our lead gen. I'm sort of making sure there's nothing that's sort of out of the ordinary. And obviously I'm following up on ideas, whether they come to me or I go to them. We at Minitab have a philosophy: we follow the best ideas. The ideas come from anywhere. And so as the CMO, I have the opportunity and the luxury to kind of greenlight those ideas. I like to tell the story, a few years back, I actually had, we have a very good summer internship program. For those of you interested in that, just FYI, I'll do a public service announcement, but we had someone who had been an intern who had just graduated that we hired in our group of summer interns, and they came into my office and they said, we have a proposal for you. And I said, okay, what is it? And they said, we think it's important for Minitab to be on Instagram. And I kind of said to them, why? And they said, well, people use Instagram. And I said, well, we're a business. We sell B2B for the most part. We sell data. Help me understand why. And so they went back and created a presentation about why Instagram's important. And we've since gone on that. They highlighted key metrics and key things that were important to our customer base. So that's an example where it's great for me because those things come across my desk. I always tell people we follow the best idea, whether they come from interns or my most senior person. And so that's a lot how I spend my time, is vetting those ideas and making sure they're the right ideas. And as I say, we follow the best ideas, not every idea, but I'm blessed with a great team around me, both across Minitab and in marketing. And I'm blessed to get a lot of good ideas come across my desk. And so I spend a lot of time working through those with people and trying to get them off the ground.
That's awesome to hear, right? I mean, it's an open book, so it's great, that you bring all those ideas. Because some might say, "Hey, no, my ideas are great." Like you mentioned, it could be from an intern; they have some great ideas, and it could be from your senior, right? As long as they're coming in, I think that's the important thing. So awesome to hear that.
Absolutely.
And so then with all these ideas, I mean, and there's also a lot of marketing strategies out there, and every month there's something new. How do you stay up to date with all the new trends? Is there a specific channel or channels that you like to go and visit, Joshua?
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time, looking at LinkedIn. I try to read, a lot of different papers, meaning, wherever different companies, competitors of mine, just to see what they're doing. I think marketing's, really interesting science, for lack of a better word, because some of it's common sense, and some of it is, proven. And so you sort of just have to understand what's out there. And once you understand it, is it apply to you? And there's so many different ways about doing it. And look, I think that's where experience comes into play. It's somebody who came to me and said, "Hey, I want to do this." And I sort of said to them, "I don't really think it's going to work. But I'm not 100% sure. And so let's let you do it for a month." And they sort of did it. And sure enough, it wasn't what they had hoped for. And we kind of talked about it, and but we did get some insights about who it did work for. And so looking at, well, maybe, it worked for this persona. Maybe we just tighten it up and it's actually a really great idea. Or maybe it was a bad idea to begin with. So I just try to really listen to what's going on. I listen to my people. Again, my people can consume and get more ideas and more information than I'm ever going to be able to. They bring different experiences to the table, and they also bring different perspectives. I think that's one of the really difficult things about being a marketer. There's two difficult things. Everybody's marketed to, right? We all are consumers, so everybody thinks they understand it. So that's one thing, because everybody's got an idea. And then the other thing is that I'm not our customers. I'm Josh, right? I could be a customer. I am one type of customer, but there are many different customers. And so one of the things that I really try to do is take, Josh's opinion out of it. And this ties into Minitab and data, right? It ties into, if you have data that supports what you're doing, it makes your decision-making a lot easier. And so we really look at what the data is out there that tells us, or we collect some data, again, as a statistical company that believes in analytics, and then look at that data set and say, okay, is it working? Is it not working? That's really the best technique we have. And again, learning from things that have been successful where the data shows it.
Yeah, no, right. It's great to hear that. And we'll then jump into our next section here, Joshua, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready for them?
I'll see, I guess.
All right. First off, let's start off with what's the last book that you read, Joshua?
The last book I read was Lean Six Sigma and Minitab. So I spent a lot of time reading books about the product. And I tell you why. I've told this to my marketing team 100 times, which is I think there's skills and talents that go along with being a great marketer. And you can become a great marketer having done marketing for time and learning from the best and studying and all that. But understanding your product is just as important as those marketing techniques and those skills. So I try to spend a lot of time, again, getting back to understanding. And so I tend to read materials, whether it be books or different papers around how people are using our product. Gets me smarter, which isn't the most interesting answer, but it's the truth.
Oh, definitely. All right. Great to hear that. Then next is, if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
Yeah, I mean, I think data cleanup. I think we as a data and analytics company, we spend a lot of time trying to look at our data. It sounds silly, but my name is Josh. So I could write Josh, I could write Joshua, I could write Minitab.com, Minitab LLC, Minitab Inc., right? And I'm all the same person when I'm filling out a form. That type of information, you want to bring together. So if I could wave my magic wand and just say, just fill out your name the same way every time, or have it show up the same time, save me time on the data cleanup, that would be my one sort of technology hurdle that I'd love to figure out.
Definitely awesome. All right, great to hear that from you. That next is, if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Repetitive tasks that I'd automate. I don't know. I mean, we obviously send a lot of emails. We have a lot of that automated right now. I think it's, unfortunately, the things that are tedious in marketing are the things you got to dig into. So I would say, I get my leads. I try to look at those leads. If there was a better way to instantly understand those leads rather than dig into them, that would be ideal. That would be the one thing I'd want to see, is not just how many leads I have, who they are, how they're broken down. There are ways to do that, but it's difficult to get that in one shot.
Definitely. All right. Great to hear that. And well, lastly, Joshua, I mean, you do have a lot of experience already within the marketing world, but what is that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer?
One piece of advice. I tell this to people all the time. Be great at the things that don't take talent. Show up on time, you work hard, you do your homework, you prepare, good things will happen for you. I've always tried to do that, but I think as a 21-year-old, you don't necessarily understand that. Now I'm a lot older than that, but I think if you show up prepared, willing to work, interested, engaged, and open, people will tend to share with you and give you their advice and their information that make you better, whether it's marketing or anything else you do.
Definitely some great advice there from you, Joshua, for our listeners. And well, Joshua, we are coming to the end of our episode today, but before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about Minitab?
Yeah, I think people think they understand data analysis, or they think that it's too hard for them. And I would really encourage people, Minitab, and as somebody, we didn't talk about my background, but I worked on Wall Street in the past. I worked in different industries. The tools I have at Minitab and that Minitab offers, I wish I had at my other jobs. And I could have had them. I just wasn't aware of them because they weren't necessarily targeted at me, where I said, I'm not into statistics or I'm not engineer. I think the marriage of technology with the ease of use that Minitab provides. If you're listening to this, we do our marketing campaigns using process mapping techniques. We look at data. If you want to chat with me, I'm available. But as I said, we think about A/B testing a little differently. Those tools are available. They're easy to use. And I highly encourage anyone listening, take a look at our website, reach out to me at jzabel@minitab.com. I'm happy to have a conversation, see ways in which we can help you. We'd love to get Minitab in the hands of marketers. I think marketers have improved their reputation as being more data-driven, but I think we have a ways to go, and I'd love to help you out there figure out ways that Minitab can help you become more data-driven.
Whether you guys heard it from Joshua, to our listeners, if you're understanding your data is the first step in reaching your business full potential, Minitab has the solutions to get you there. Thank you so much, Joshua, for being on with us today. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to our next episode at Pathmonk Presents. Thanks a lot, Joshua.
Thanks for having me.